Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy, Fantasy Football, TITTH number 147. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. I've got a special guest today, Laquan Jones from Real Deal Fantasy, and Cornerstone here, Nick Davis. How we doing, gentlemen? Happy Sunday.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Hey, not a whole lot. Trying to talk some football here on a holiday weekend. How are you guys enjoying the extra time off? You got any big plans?
I actually work tomorrow. So Uncle Elon wants me in bright and early.
All right. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm working too tomorrow. So
snap, just me.
Yeah, just lucky you. This is my day off, so I'm
all right. Right on. We'll dive in. You going to be doing any grilling at work tomorrow, LQ, on the holiday? There you go. I always see you posting that good barbecue stuff there on Twitter and social media.
Yeah, shout out to the Fantasy Football Barbecue Club. Everybody's welcome to join. Just start cooking and drink a beer.
Oh, well, that's really easy. I've been doing that for a long time. So
exactly, everybody's in it.
Do I get like any brownie points, or maybe even looked upon less if I'm using the Traeger?
No, that is welcome.
Just depends.
As well. Just depends. It depends.
I don't know. I've been seeing some real serious hate on social media for pellet smoke and grill users. I don't know.
You're good.
You're good. We may not be on the same page there, but I enjoy it. I'll be kicking a few back tomorrow, doing some grilling. I'm gonna be getting all my shopping done today for that. So, well, I hope you guys are making extra money tomorrow working on the holiday. That's just hot garbage. But let's dive into some recent news. Give our takes on some recent news. We got your boy Todd Gurley. Laquan's a Rams fan. Obviously left the Rams, went with Atlanta on the kind of downturn of his career here. Looks like he might sign with Detroit. What do you guys think? How would this affect Swift? Would it give Gurley any real fantasy value? We'll start with you, Laquan.
I feel like he's going there to be the goal line back, the red zone back, because we saw him last season. He really only ate off of, goal line duty, and basically with 42 attempts, he ended up with 8 of the 9 touchdowns he ended up with. So it's kind of like he's going to be very touchdown dependent. So not much fantasy value there individually there for him, but as a Swift owner or somebody who's interested in drafting Swift and redraft, it does play a part where he does take a hit. You cannot expect the stars and the moon from him. We might be looking at his ceiling of what he finished last year, because obviously the new coaching staff coming in, we honestly know, Anthony Lynn likes his 1-2 punch. So we thought that was going to be it with him and Williams, but now you add Gurley to that mix. It makes it very more complicated.
I agree. Got anything to add there, Nick?
Well, I was stuck with him in the league that we were in together. He was one of my keepers that I was forced to keep, and he did pan out like a tad, but it almost was like he's limited. Like it's like an unquantifiable way of like every time he like gets onto the field, you can see that he's held back, but no one's saying anything about like his knee or anything that's like going on, but everybody knows there's something wrong with Todd Gurley. Yes. I fully agree that he's going to be a goal line back. It's kind of like a snooze for me. It's almost like Adrian Peterson going to the Detroit Lions last year. It's going to help in a way, but not like a serious impact. I feel like it's just going to be kind of like a grinder for them when he is available.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with Laquan and you both. I mean, going there, it's going to be a very minimal role. In the past 3 years, he's had less touches, less yards, less touchdowns every single year. There's been a constant progression to lose value, lose numbers, right? So going there, I also agree with LQ. Like, it's going to make the situation really convoluted between the three. Jamal Williams, he's been that guy, 146, like 178 touches, pretty much his ceiling, right? I don't think we're expecting much more than 180 at most. And then you got Swift, who had 160 touches last year as a rookie, and everyone wants more and more out of him. Todd Gurley actually had more rushing touchdowns last year than Swift. I mean, Swift had a bit of a slow start, but I think everyone was expecting that leap forward. They have a very strong offensive line, so I feel like if they actually get Gurley there, they're going to have three options where they're just not really afraid to run any of them into the middle of the pile on a halfback dive.
Yeah, exactly. And people also are forgetting that Detroit Lions don't produce good running backs. I haven't been excited about a Detroit Lion running back 29 years on this earth. So to be honest, it's like, when the last time they had a 1,000-yard rusher? 2013.
I couldn't tell you. Is that the year? Because I know that there was like a big benchmark of like guys that hadn't rushed over 100 yards in a game, hadn't hit 1,000 yards.
There's also that stat. So it's
wasn't it Reggie Bush, or was that in Miami when he did that?
I think it was Reggie Bush.
It was Reggie Bush in Detroit. He had 1,006 yards, so he barely did that. So
and they got like -3 the year after.
Yeah.
So you know, it's kind of like a give and take. You know,
so it's like no Detroit Lion like running back makes me excited to make his value like the thing about Swift. He's very talented, but again, it's the Detroit Lions. Again, it's Anthony Lynn wanting that 1-2 punch. It's all these formula things that need to be taken in perspective. It's all about expectation as well, because I'm a big guy on expectation. What am I expecting to get out of Swift? If I draft him where he's getting drafted at right now in the late second round, or even, earlier than that, I want an RB1 that's getting max touches there, when I can get a guy like Cam Akers, when I can get a guy like, possibly Antonio Gibson, if I can pull that off. But there's people that are making Swiss value just rise even higher closer we get to August to these redrafts. And it's all about expectations, people. It's like, is he going to be your RB1 to give you max touches every single week? Is he going to be a start and forget for you? That's also put that in perspective, that Jared Goff is the quarterback. Are they going to be able to move the ball to even get to the red zone? Who are their wide receivers? Please tell me, who is their wide receivers that are jumping off the paper to be like,
Quinton Cephas.
I was about to say Quinton Cephas. He's the best one on there. Put some respect on that name.
So all these people that are making these takes about Swift and defending him, it's cool. It's fine. Defend your guy. But let's not go out there and say it to the moon when he's not going to be an RB1. And I'm going to say it again. He's not going to be an RB1. It's not going to be a weekly thing where I can start him and just be like, all right, forget. No, he's not going to be one of those guys. It's going to be a constant headache. And by week 6, by week 8, you're probably going to be trying to throw him somewhere else on another team. So there's that.
Well, I'll throw this out there. Let's say he drops, because his value is going to decrease the slower we get to week 1, right? Especially if they sign a guy like Gurley. I mean, they could bring back Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson led the team in rushing attempts last season ahead of the rookie Swift, right? So they could still add a piece, and it doesn't have to be Todd Gurley. I think if that happens, his value, like I said, will decrease leading into week 1. What do you think about like round 3, round 4? Will you still take a stab, or will that situation just be not touching this one, not planting a flag? No, thank you.
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm with Nick. I'm good. I honestly won't lose sleep off of losing Swift, and it's to the point where like there's better value there anyway. There's better guys, better opportunities and situations there. So why am I going to go all in because of this train that's being created by fantasy Twitter? No.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not getting slipped in the 3rd or 4th round. Like if you're going to Detroit for that kind of value, like even the people that drafted Kenny Golladay in that range last year got really freaking burned. So like I'm staying away from Detroit. They're just going to be filler pieces for me. And also another thing to think about, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. Even if
are they to who?
I mean, it's gonna be 2 yards. It could be a lot of swing passes, a lot of slants.
Swift and Hawk are going to be the guys that are going to be catching the ball most of the time. That's the only reason why people are like really excited about Swift value and potential and ceiling. I get it. He's very talented. He can see, like my boy Drew just said, 90 targets. That's fine. He can see those targets, but how many is he going to catch? How far is he going to go? Is that going to be able to move the ball to the red zone? We want touchdowns out of Swift. We don't want a whole bunch of targets and a whole bunch of catches and no touchdowns. That's literally what we're looking at with Todd Gurley possibly going there, AP, in the universe probably returns, or even Le'Veon Bell. It's not necessarily that they're signing Todd Gurley as well. Also, I mean, fantasy Twitter, they see, visiting. They don't realize he's just visiting. It can literally be anybody else. The real problem here is that the fact that they're taking visits from running backs. That's the big picture of this. They're still for another running back after they just signed one. So it's kind of like that's the bigger picture in all this.
Exactly. Todd Gurley, stay the hell out of Miami. Don't go anywhere near Myles Gaskins.
Hey, you got Malcolm Brown there. Don't sleep on Malcolm Brown. Everybody sleeps on him.
I'm going to stay asleep. I'm going to stay asleep out of
is the guy. Salvin
Oh
Ahmed
my
God.
We're big Salvin. Yeah, we're big Salvin Ahmed fans around here. That's for sure. I grabbed both Myles Gaskin and Ahmed on the same dynasty team to start the year. So stay out of Miami, Todd. Stay the hell out of there. All right, well, let's move on here. We'll definitely revisit this, closer to the start of the season. Yeah. We got some comments in the chat about St. Brown will have a big part of the offense. DeAndre Swift is getting 90 targets. Says your buddy Drew here, and I don't know who the hell Dokes is, but yeah, I got nothing on Dokes. You have to give us a little more info on that one. Next up, we've got Julio Jones. Still doesn't have a new home yet, but it sounds like a move is imminent here. What is your dream landing location, and what is your most realistic landing location? We'll start with Nick.
I feel like if Green Bay is going to take any swing, it's going to be a swing at Julio Jones to try and keep Aaron Rodgers. I really like that one. The one place that I don't think he's going to go is Baltimore. I think that that's too much money and too many targets that are needed to satisfy Julio Jones that aren't going to be there. And people still talk about it, even though we just drafted Rashad Bateman. Guys, relax. Let him get a season in. Then we can start talking about more receivers or something. I'm going to say he's going to go to Green Bay, but the least one is Baltimore. That's just talk. People just being greedy at this point.
Yeah, sure. What do you think, Laquan?
I mean, if my dream situation will obviously be Green Bay, so Aaron Rodgers can stay, he'll be satisfied with another target. But I think he best fits, with Tennessee. I definitely think,
that's a good one.
Would probably be really needed because of how thin their wide receiver core is right now. And I know Josh Reynolds is there, former Ram, whatever, but he's very still undeveloped. He's not as polished to be a wide receiver too. He saw the most part he saw last season, and we really didn't get a pop out of him. Really didn't get anything really going, but I play a 50-50 card, Jared Goff and being underdeveloped. So it'll be interesting to see how Ryan Tannehill utilizes him as the wide receiver too, because we all know it's AJ Brown season. He's going to see the number one corners. He's going to get doubled, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why you bring in a big name like Julio Jones, where it can still be AJ Brown season, and Julio draws the attention of the number one, corners and et cetera, et cetera. So therefore AJ Brown can still eat. You know what I mean? That's how Corey Davis ate last season. He was able to be relevant, week to week. So I really feel like, Julio Jones is there. It only helps, AJ Brown, and it helps the team to win games.
I think Tennessee would be a great landing spot. It's obviously one of the ones that have been rumored. Ravens, like Nick mentioned, have been in talks. I love the Chiefs. That's definitely my dream location for sure, is pairing him up with Patrick Mahomes.
6,000 yards, that's what that is.
Yeah,
that's 1 billion catches.
Case season.
Yeah, so KC and Green Bay, I think the biggest issues that they have are the outdoors, right? Kind of same thing with Tennessee, is that he's been playing indoors, and people are kind of questioning, his longevity. He's older. It's just going to be better if he can get, land somewhere with, in a dome or something like that. So playing along with that theme, I think the Colts are also, another AFC South team that are realistic, like the Tennessee Titans, that could be in the mix. And it sounds like they are. Also another team that's really thin at wide receiver. They have a very young receiver core behind T.Y. Hilton. So I think adding him to that mix would be great, obviously, with the passing volume that they have there with a guy like Carson Wentz potentially, and just giving him another weapon. It doesn't sound like Zach Ertz is landing there anytime soon. So giving him a guy that can easily pull in 140, 150 targets. Julio's only had, I think, 3 seasons where he's had less than 128, 129. 2 of them he was hurt, and the other one was the rookie season. So and he's only missed less than 10 games, or maybe 11 games, one or the other, twice in his career. So a lot of the storylines and themes that we're hearing about him, that he's old, he's done, it doesn't matter where he goes, I don't buy into that whatsoever. Just sounds like he wants, a change of scenery. We heard him say it. I'm out of here. This is it. I'm done. Matt Ryan stinks. He didn't say that, but he might as well have said that, right? So I like the Colts as kind of a realistic option, similar to Tennessee. My dream landing spot absolutely would be KC. I mean, that just wouldn't be fair. But again, do you guys think that's really a priority, playing indoors?
No.
Do you think that's a big thing to buy into?
No, dude's a freak athlete. He didn't play indoors when he was in college, so it's like
or youth. Like
you've been playing football since you were a kid. Like that whole narrative is so trash. Like it's the worst. It's like it does not matter where he plays.
I think it more applies to like quarterbacks and more in terms of like their arm strength. Like there are some quarterbacks that cannot throw in like Chicago. Like I fully believe that. But for wide receivers, man, all you do is running. All you're doing is running, staying warm. You know, you're going to be catching the ball. As long as the quarterback gets the ball to you, you should be able to do your job perfectly fine. I'm not worried about that. That's BS. Like, it's just like you're looking way too much into it and trying to find reasons why that team won't get it and your team will. Like, I feel like those kinds of people.
Exactly.
The other theme is the Alabama theme that, he wants to go to the Patriots because he's got, that little connection with Mac Jones. He wants to go to the Titans because he's got that little connection with Derrick Henry. Is that something you guys are buying into?
He didn't even play with them.
No, he didn't play with them. It's a brethren, it's alumni.
I feel like
he means it. I feel like he means it. Like I take his words as he say them, as he wants to win. So he's definitely going to want to land in a spot where he has the best situation to win. And I don't think the Patriots are in the best situation to win anything.
Agreed.
Cam Newton and an underdeveloped, Mac Jones right now, and it's like he'll be basically starting from square one on a team where he is the guy. Where it's fine, but. Man, do you want to help that team build just so you can leave in 2 years? You know what I mean? So,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think the Patriots would be like a good option for him. Hopefully, I don't think they land him though, but hopefully they don't.
He needs to check some more tape, Julio Jones on the Patriots, because win now. I agree with you. That's not the place to go. Like if you're all in, like win right now, make a run to the Super Bowl. I say the Bills or the Chiefs. Like
that's definitely
keep it.
Keep it simple. The Bills will be amazing. Like
that would be crazy.
Freaking moon. Like I will draft him literally as my first quarterback, probably in the second round.
The Super Bowl would actually be the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
Let that happen. Yeah, that's the truth.
And that's not abnormal from years past, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
so another storyline to follow. Hopefully he gets somewhere soon. I think that'll create some nice little buzz for us next week. It's sounding like he's it was after the June 1st date and just a couple of ways from June 1st, 2 days away. So maybe like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll see Julio Jones in another jersey. I always say he looks good in black. Don't rule out the Raiders too. Forgot to drop that. He looks good in black.
He wants to win now.
You're right. You're not wrong. All right. Next up, more trade rumors with Aaron Rodgers. This seems like we're at a standstill now. Not reporting to the OTAs. We're kind of getting it shoved in our face because he's on vacation with his new fiance. Friends with Miles Teller. It's getting kind of like blown up now in the media because of that. That he hasn't reported. He was on ESPN doing a little interview too, right? So, where are you guys at with this? Like, do you think that we're closer to a trade or to a holdout?
Holdout. I think we're leaning more towards a holdout because. Man, this is a very sticky situation, especially how he's handling it. He's actually handling it better than I really thought he would be because now we're seeing his face pop up and like everywhere. Like everything he's doing right now is like under a microscope. So I feel like we heard that, the Packers sent him extension talks. I don't know if they sent an actual solid offer, but there was no response, which was reported the next day. Like he didn't even answer it. So obviously that extension was trash. So I feel like we're leaning more towards a holdout to where he's good. He's set on not playing football this year if a trade is not happening. So you might see him retire, honestly.
Yeah.
What's weird is that it's with a team that doesn't have an owner. If it had an owner, I feel like there wouldn't be such a standstill because it would be a talking head that would be like, okay, I am the final decision maker. But right now there's like the president and like the GM, and the GM just wants to have the biggest balls in the room and he's fighting with the $100 million quarterback. I feel like this is going to go so south if he ends up just like retiring or holding out. Green Bay is not going to go to the playoffs, I feel, and he's going to lose his job within like 2 years because he can't recover from that. Like, how do you lose someone like that after winning an MVP season? Like, it's almost like Michael Jordan and Jerry Krause, but at least they figured out how to stay together and win championships. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is done with this guy. Like, he's like, I don't even want to talk to him anymore. So I say he's either going to hold out or he's just going to retire. And honestly, I see him doing Jeopardy. Like, he had a hell of a time doing that.
That would be hilarious if he took 1 full year off, worked Jeopardy, and then came back when the contract was up. Like, and I just can't believe that the Packers as an organization, whoever, the group ownership, whatever, of the city, the town, people that just buy shares of it, like, how do you just as a community disrespect Aaron Rodgers like this? Like, obviously the owners and shareholders, they're not the ones drafting Jordan Love. And he even said, like, hey, I wasn't upset about that. You can draft a quarterback, just like, include me, give me a call to have a talk about it, sit down.
Everyone else got included. Like, Alex Smith was saying that stuff. And there's other situations where people getting called. Like, even Andy Dalton was called and he was just signed. And it's just like, dude, like, what are you guys like smoking in Green Bay? Like, are you like, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if I was a shareholder of the Packers, I would be wanting to have a goddamn vote to vote out the GM for doing this because it's the best quarterback that I would say he's better than Brett Favre. Brett Favre is more of a gunslinger, and he kind of drove those teams to like victory. But Aaron Rodgers is a complete quarterback. Like, he will probably have less interceptions than most Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and he lasted a really long time. So if I was a shareholder, I'd be pissed. I would want to be use my shareholder power and vote and try to make something happen to get this standstill done because they need to get this thing figured out for sure.
I mean, we need a poll for the shareholders. Like, hey, let's vote on this. Look at he split. Let's go. Let's just get there. Let's just get the feedback on it. I mean, Goon Koos. I mean, if I'm there, I just fire the guy. Like,
absolutely.
Hey, buddy, you're causing problems here. You drafted the quarterback. You have his replacement, but you're causing problems with, again, the MVP, $100 million man, whatever you want to call him, the last guy to win them a Super Bowl. I just don't understand it. And you guys are making me nervous. You guys are not keeping me optimistic that he's going to get moved. We got Emron in the chat saying no courtesy for a legend, free Aaron Rodgers.
It's no longer free Rojo. It's free A-Rod.
It worked for free. It worked for free Brittany. Maybe it'll work for free Aaron. We'll see. I don't know. He's saying they're stupid for not trading him during the draft. I mean, honestly, like the trade partners are kind of few and far between. Like, other than Denver, who do you guys see that actually being like, yeah, we'll give like as many first round picks as you want. Give us the guy. Just send him over here. You take whatever you want.
San Francisco
they already said no.
But that's the thing. The offers that I saw, how do you say no to those? There was like 3 first-round picks. You're getting back Jimmy G. I don't understand it. Like, they were literally like, we need all that, and then like we need your next 10 first-round picks for the next 10 years. Like, what exactly are you looking for to sweeten the deal? And that's why I feel like it's complete disrespect because they, were all these rumors were coming out and stuff, and all these trade offers were coming, and they weren't accepting any of them. And now they're sitting there like, oh man, like, how could we have fixed this? Yeah, you could have traded him during the damn draft, like for anything, and at least get some kind of value back. But they didn't, and now they're up Schitt's Creek. This is their fault. This is the GM's fault. And I don't see him lasting more than 2 years there because they're probably gonna see what happens this year. But next year, I don't think the result for this year will be good enough to keep him next year.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. No, he's all but done there. To me, it's hold out or dip out for sure in a trade. LQ, any teams that you think would just be like all in other than Denver? Because I feel like the market it's thin.
Man, I honestly was hoping the Raiders went, balls deep into it, man, and just said, hey, we're moving on from Carr, because honestly, Derek Carr is putting Gruden in the hot seat. That's literally what it is, because that division is still, very competitive. I mean, I won't be sleeping on the Chargers. Obviously, you have Mahomes there as well. You have a chance to make that leapfrog over the Chargers and over Denver to actually be real competitors in that division. If you land Aaron Rodgers, you can literally have Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes twice a year, every year. And it's like, what are the Raiders doing? Why are they sitting on their hands with Derek Carr going into the season? But hey, we're just couch GMs.
I like the Raiders. We've brought it up on the show before. It would be a decent swap. Getting a guy like Carr in return, a nice little stopgap for either Love or the next guy that you want to move on to. So we've talked that up a bit. I still like Denver, of course, right? I mean, they're the obvious candidate, but It's really tough for me with these NFC teams. Like I could see the Giants, I could see the Eagles trying to get involved here. I mean, so I'm hanging out with Miles Teller, big Eagles fan. I like fantasy football, like my Eagles. I think the Dolphins would be interesting. I just feel like they just love Tua. I just feel like they're just really in with him.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But those 3 locations, I feel, will be really ideal. I just don't see, with the NFC teams, I don't see the Packers trying to move them to anywhere, and they get the Niners week 4, so it ain't.
Yeah, I understand.
There ain't no way they're letting Aaron come in and put one in their face like that. Maybe in another year, you can come back after retirement and be like, oh, you're still good at football. Yeah, we kind of knew that would be the case, but it's all right. We made you take a year off, lose your value, lose money, whatever it is, because that's what he's going to walk away from is also a buttload of money, like Le'Veon Bell had to do when he held out. He's going to have to pay him back.
The Raiders, man. If I was Mayock, like if you could make one move to salvage every other move that you've made, get Aaron Rodgers because the best thing about Aaron Rodgers is that he makes everyone around him 100 times better. So you would get value out of Henry Ruggs, who screwed up last year and didn't do anything. Darren Waller would be better than Kelsey and Kittle. And then Josh Jacobs. I mean, we saw what happened with Aaron Jones. Imagine what would happen with Josh Jacobs. Like, I feel like that would really elevate the team. I don't know why they aren't doing that, but for me, if I was any team, Raiders, I would be on the phone just like trying to do anything possible because that he would make everybody else better.
Yeah,
absolutely. I would love that. And then if that happened, let's bring the HBO show back with the Raiders too. Let's bring Hard Knocks back with them.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, that's where Hard Knocks needs to follow. That's where they need to go.
Why don't you work for HBO?
I got a lot of problems with HBO. Like they, probably like the last season of Game of Thrones and all the letters that they got from me. That's probably why.
Yeah,
that's probably why. All right. Let's move on here. We're going to talk about some split backfields. But before we do, please be sure to like and share the video and follow us on youtube.com/take it to the Hizzy. Let's go. So we're going to do some flag planting here, or maybe none, maybe some stayaways. We'll start with the Jets backfield. We've got some news. Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, all sharing snaps as the starters at OTAs. Do you guys have any interest in this backfield? And, who do you like the most?
I would take some late stabs at him. Because Saleh was under the Shanahan system, I do feel like he saw the benefit of that zone run scheme that has made every running back to ever touch the ball in that system a 1,000-yard rusher right away. I'm not saying that he is Shanahan, so he might not take the entire system, but I would take maybe Tevin Coleman just because he has experience. If I start hearing that Michael Carter is really, taking the bull by the horns, I would take a stab at him. Ty Johnson, I feel like he's just kind of like that billing guy to spell people. So it would be either Michael Carter or Tevin Coleman, but probably most likely Michael Carter just because Tevin Coleman has bounced around so much and hasn't really taken any kind of hold of the position. So I don't see that happening with the Jets, but just because they're so young, I see him having a possibility of doing that. So I would take a stab, but some late stabs just to kind of fill in rosters because at the end of the day, it's still the Jets, and it's only year one in a new generation without Gase. So I need a little bit of game film on the new team, and then I will have probably a better decision next year on if I want to really buy into that backfield or not.
Gotcha. What do you think, LQ?
This is another situation. I'm not losing any sleep over if I don't end up with Jets running back. I mean, I'm not too excited about Michael Carter to be 100% in that situation he's at now with the Jets. I think if you do take a late round flyer, okay, maybe a Tevin Coleman, maybe a Ty Johnson if you're in like really, really deep leagues. But man, they're just going to end up on your bench as bench warmers. And then you have a guy that you could possibly get that could be better value or even better situation, and you're missing out on because you got these guys on your bench, and then you face an injury. Wow, you face an injury week one. It's like nothing we haven't seen before. Now you're running into waivers because Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman aren't even stepping up to the plate. So I really feel like I'm going to avoid these guys and just try to look elsewhere. I mean, if we're going to talk Shanahan system, I'll take a Trey Sermon. I'll do that instead in the late rounds, instead of those guys. So I definitely think, if you do take a stab, just just expectations and be cautious of like what you're doing in your bench, because you want guys that can step up at any point of the time. I'm happy to see guys that I have on the bench and the guys that I'm having in my starting lineup put up like 10 to 15 points. That's fine. You can keep doing that on my bench. So I know when time comes, you're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, I agree. And it sounds like we're all in agreement about Tevin Coleman just kind of being like that late option, just because he's pretty much going for free in your redraft leagues if he's not even getting drafted. I was in an Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I feel like he's a good bench stash, just because we got to just wait and see. Like Nick said, like there's no tape on this new Jets offense yet, right? Zach Wilson, new quarterback. We got new receivers in there. Elijah Moore is going to be in that mix as well. So, and then they still have like Michael P. Ryan, right? Josh Adams. They still have other guys there that are probably going to get, a couple of touches here and there. They're just going to kind of convolute the situation. I like Tevin Coleman the most because I feel like he will be trusted in the red zone. Like when they're looking for somebody to finish inside the 5, I feel like his name will be the first to be called, at least for the first handful of games, just because he has the most experience. They'll trust him the most. And he does have that little bit of connection with Saleh. And he came over from the 49ers, but from the 49ers, he followed Shanahan from Atlanta. So he's kind of constantly, going with that trend of following his coaches. And I feel like that's, when he arrives, when he's the first guy there, it just kind of earns him those extra touches, at least to start the season. So he could be a guy that you draft late and you can flip him, sing a song for him after like week 4 or 5 when he's doing getting some decent production, and just sell him because, you just know that he's going to progressively decline as the year goes on, because Michael Carter will earn more touches. We'll probably see a Michael P. Ryan week where he randomly goes off. I feel like he has the least amount of upside right now because he ended last year with COVID, and he's kind of just like battling that consistent theme, behind these guys. Yep. And it seems like the NFL is really prioritizing players that just didn't have COVID, haven't been around it, and have kind of managed their COVID or their safety situation better. So I feel like those players are getting more priority. I just feel like LaMichael P. Ryan will wind up being like a waiver ad like week 4 through 6, just because he's randomly going to get some touches after an injury. Same thing could be for Ty Johnson, who none of us really touched on. I think he's just going to be that third down back that has, handcuff upside, right? One of these guys gets hurt, he'll immediately get, their 4 to 5 touches or something like that. It sounds like we're at least respectably in on Tevin Coleman at the back end of our drafts. Next backfield, LQ, you kind of alluded to it with that Sermon talk there. We've got Sermon, Gallman, and Mostert, even some Jermichael Hasty back there lurking in the shadows as well. So I'll just start with you. You mentioned Sermon already. Is he the guy that you're prioritizing there, or are you also looking to maybe grab a share of Mostert as well?
Here's the thing. We know Raheem is going to lose some touches based on just how crowded that backfield is. He's also going to miss some games as well, because that's all we know from him, to miss multiple games. So there's that. So that's the only reason why I went and want shares of him. And then there's, when Gallman there, he put up, really good numbers at the end of the season, and he held that backfield, he held his own. I'll say he did pretty good. You know what I mean?
He led the Giants in carries. So, something's going to happen, right?
So for him to even land there is kind of questioning of like how much value are we really putting behind Gallman. I really think, if I do take a stab, because I know Trey Sermon's ADP is going to just rise and rise and rise. He's the hot name right now. So if I do miss out on Trey Sermon, I'll probably go add Gallman. You know what I mean? Because I know he can produce. I know he can be, somewhat of a 1B, 1A situation of whoever that may be, a stud player. So I definitely think, Trey Sermon's going to get a little bit too expensive to where you're looking at it like, he's going in the 10th round. I don't know if I want that. I still need a QB. I still need a tight end, on the rise or something like that. I don't know. And then you can get Wayne Gallman in those later rounds to where he's going to be able to produce. So I definitely think, those are the two guys I'll probably put in priority on my watch list.
All right. What do you think, Nick?
I'm not going to reach for any one of them. If Raheem Mostert was a little bit more healthier, I would probably reach for him, because he is a legit running back. It's just he has a lot of health issues sometimes. Especially, I feel like sometimes he can't take like the load that is needed to be like a 1,000-yard rusher. But he does have like games where are 100-yard games. So he is useful. When he gets hurt, I do feel that it's going to be like a 1-2 punch between Trey Sermon and Wayne Gallman, and Shanahan is just going to ride the hot hand because, I mean, we saw JaMychal Hasty get like 100-yard games like consecutively. Like, you can literally take a shot on any of these guys. I just recommend don't reach on them. Just let them fall to you and try and be smart on, hey, are all your other needs covered? Okay, I'll take a shot at maybe the second or third guy in this lineup just because I know that there's probably going to be a time where they're going to be able to play. And I'm okay stashing them away during my season because, honestly, running backs take a hell of a lot of damage, and they're probably more often injured than any other position in terms of like fantasy. Because if you think about it, last year, I remember we were talking like heavily about first round running backs. The only running back at one point in the first round that was still healthy was Derrick Henry and Zeke Elliott. And Zeke Elliott wasn't even doing anything. Oh, Dalvin Cook. But the guys were getting injured that were like really high ranking running backs. And it's just like, just be smart about it, guys. Like, don't take a stab at them. In like I wouldn't say like third or fourth round, but maybe like sixth to eighth round. That's when I would start like looking to see if they're available. So just be smart with this backfield, but they can definitely give you value anytime during the season. So any of them would be a great stash option on your bench.
I really like Sermon just because it's really easy, when to know to draft him. Like, soon as you see Mostert go, because he's not going ahead of Mostert. Like, every draft I've seen so far, Mostert's going a round ahead, 2 rounds ahead. So once you see Mostert go, you just like, okay, well, if I want Sermon, now's the time to do it. It'll be the next round or 2 rounds later if you can still get that value or whatever it is. If you're getting, down to your swing picks and you see Mostert off the board and you want him, he's the guy to take. And I just feel like as the weeks go on, he is going to eat into this workload, whoever is there. Watching the tape on him out of Ohio State, like, he is that guy that's going to benefit from that outside zone run scheme. He can catch the ball back there. He can hit those holes. He's probably the speediest guy there. I don't think I'm that scared to say that. He's got the freshest legs. They spent the pick on him. Like, I feel like it's a great situation for him. This Jeff Wilson injury that they just had, he's going to be on the PUP list until about week 5, week 6, whatever it is. I feel like the path is really clearing here for Sermon. And, we're hearing stuff about Gallman is really impressing in OTAs and camp, and he's coming in as that number 2 guy. Not calling it a smokescreen, but it serves no purpose to say like, yeah, Sermon's our guy, like he's going to be taking all the heavy workload. There's no benefit to release or say anything like that, right? So there's no reason to overhype him. So he's the guy that I'm targeting, and I just don't have to really look that hard to when to grab him because I'm just waiting for Mostert to go off the board, and then I'm going to attack. And the exact same thing happened in my last draft, and immediately after the draft, it wasn't but hours, I was getting offers for Sermon from the Mostert owner. Because they knew they screwed up. Like, I was like, no thanks, I'm good. Like, I'll give you a bench guy for Mostert. You know what I mean? Like, he's I like Mostert a lot. He was a fun story at the end of the 2019 season. He had 10 rushing touchdowns in the regular season and 5 in the playoffs. That was wild, and the workload was very limited. So I was a big fan of him, and especially for fantasy, a big waiver wire guy that everyone had a lot of excitement about. Then coming into last year, like, oh man, he's going to be the guy. He's going to get that workload. The offense is going to be humming. I was saying it. I was there. He's going to help Garoppolo. He's going to really open up the passing offense. No, didn't happen. Everybody died in San Francisco. Everybody got hurt, and he was included into that mix. So I'm just not as excited about him moving forward, just because the injuries, like you guys mentioned, and then it's just crowded. It's just crowded, and Shanahan, he's not going to tell us who his favorite is. I don't think he's going to do us any favors. So, but definitely some good options to look out for there. Like I said, I think it's just a really easy tell when to grab Sermon. He's just going to go right after Mostert. So, all right, we got a couple more backfields here. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Arians coming out saying, "Hey guys, it's going to be a split backfield again. Rojo, Leonard Fournette." I'm not doing you guys any favors. I'm not giving you any tells. No hype machine over here. Where are you guys planting your flags here in Tampa?
Oh man, this is really hard because it's like, if you look for PPR upside, you're obviously going Fournette. Fournette was the PPR guy there last year, and then Rojo's the pure runner. So therefore, you have to take who's going to have more points, in the end of the week, who's going to get more touches, because we've seen Ronald Jones get punished when he fumbles or not being able to hit this gap, not be able to get into the goal line like we saw in the Super Bowl. So it's like he's more liable to get punished more so than Fournette. Fournette is a RB1. I don't care what anybody says. He's a RB1. He should be on a team where he's getting max touches and be able to produce, but he's not in that situation right now. He's in a situation right now where he wants to win. It's not him wanting to be a guy. He's being a team player. That's something, new that we didn't see in Jacksonville from him, but he's in a situation where he just wants to win. So whatever his role will be, he will do it. And Bruce Arians knows that. So I think I'm planting my flag on Fournette based on what I get him in drafts. Ronald Jones is not the sexiest pick, but he can have some weeks where he pops off for 100 yards. And you'll basically have to play both these guys based on matchups. This isn't a start and forget situation. None of these guys should be your RB2 or your RB1. So obviously you're in the field of where you're a flex position. Ronald Jones honestly looks more appealing in a flex position than Fournette to me, but I know I just said PPR upside would be with Fournette, but I don't know. I still feel uneasy about either or putting them in my flex position. So like there would be like a RB3, RB4 situation if you go either or.
What do you think, Nick?
I'm out on Leonard Fournette. I think that he is just cashing checks and trying to get trophies, and he's going to ride off into the sunset with not actually realizing his full potential. I've said it plenty of times on this show. I've watched him since high school. He really only realized his potential, I feel, during like his freshman season, because sophomore year he wasn't even trying to like play all the games. And then when he came in, he did have like, you could see like a gradual increase in his production. And his last year in Jacksonville, he had like 80 receptions, which was very impressive to me. It kind of shocked me because I actually drafted him that year and I thought he was going to be more of a rusher, but he became a receiver and I was like, I'll take it. I don't even care. But I like Ronald Jones more. It speaks to how Ronald Jones is kind of on the same level as Leonard Fournette in terms of actual production, because if Leonard Fournette was actually an RB1, he would be an RB1 for Tampa Bay, but he's not. He's being spelled out. They don't see him being able to take that load that he took in Jacksonville that will actually help the team. So I'm saying Rojo, and I would honestly like to see Rojo on another team just to see what he can do outside of Tampa Bay. But I'm out on Leonard Fournette. He's been a huge disappointment in the NFL. To me, he seems like he's always been about the money, because he was always trying to get out of college early, always trying to just go to the pros. And, for me, you kind of just took the back seat. Like, he's being a team player, absolutely. But he's riding Tom Brady, like that's kind of different.
Hey, get your rings.
Hey, I don't have a ring, and
I feel like he's getting his ring now because he's still young. He's still young. Get your rings now, and then you can go back to being the guy after this year or the year after, or whatever the case may be, and right off in the sunset and say, "Hey, I can finish my career because I have 2 Super Bowls," and that's me making a prediction of them winning the Super Bowl again.
It's possible. No. They have the best continuity of any Super Bowl winner. Like they brought everybody back, even like assistant coaches. So I definitely see that happening. Yeah, who wants it? But Tom Brady is. It seems that he just permeates greatness to his team, and that is what we are in the NFL age of what we're in, and we just kind of got to accept it. But Patrick Mahomes is always available to like try and knock him off. Josh Allen, he's coming up. He's got Stefon Diggs, and they've been coming up. So it's really like now we're at like that boss stage. You got to beat Tom Brady to actually show that you mean something in the NFL. We're not beating young Colin Kaepernick or old Joe Flacco. You know what I'm saying? Like you actually got to go through Tom Brady to be considered the best in the NFL, and I actually really like that.
It's a shame. My Bears beat Tom Brady on Monday Night Football. No
Rams
trophy.
Beat him too.
There you go. You got it. You know what I'm talking about.
Though. Because when it's November, December, man, Tom Brady is locked in. Like it is like as soon as November 1st comes, he starts smelling the turkey. He's like, all right, I got to lock in real hard. And then he just takes his team. And it's just incredible to watch.
I thought it had something to do with Nick Foles being his father, but I don't know. I don't know. Something about that dude being his daddy. I don't know. But the Bucks, I like Rojo more. I'm going to kind of try to wrap it up quick here. Long-winded on the Tampa Bucks here. But I like Rojo more. I feel like he can develop as a pass catcher. The fumbles kept him off the field. The drops kept him off the field. And when you're in Tom Brady's doghouse, like that's just the last place you want to be in general. Not only are you going to lose touches on the field or snaps or whatever, but he's just not going to look to you every single time anymore. He's going to look at these younger receivers, the Ty Johnsons. He's got AB there, tight ends. Like he will, look you off and, just move it to someone that he trusts more. So I feel like, both of those guys, honestly, they'd be great fits on a lot of other teams. I was saying this offseason, I wanted Fournette to go to the Jets or the Falcons. He would have made money. He would have had touches. He would have had more opportunity to just, make a name for himself. But you guys, like you mentioned, like he just wants the trophies now. Go after the dubs, go after the Super Bowls, and whatever happens after that, he'll still get paid because someone will need an RB1. He'll have maybe a Super Bowl or two, we'll see, on his resume. So we'll see what happens there. But as far as draft purposes go, I want Rojo, but I don't want to overpay for him, right? I don't want him lined up as my flex. I would love him as a bench stash. And in some leagues, it's just going to take, the other owners, to also be low on him. And that can very well happen. So I've seen both of those guys sitting around at rounds 9 and 10. Both of them. Yep. Yeah, just both of them sitting there. And they're just like, they're both at the top of this list. Like, do I want to take a stab? And I haven't grabbed either of them yet, but I see both of them sitting there. So we see people having issues with making a selection or, having a favorite one over the other. And obviously they're falling down board. So it's going to be interesting to see as we get closer to week 1, how that narrative, kind of, straightens out or I don't know, becomes even crazier.
Yeah.
All right. Last one here. We've got the Cardinals. We've got Chase Edmonds says he's ready to run through a damn wall as this team's starting running back. Well, they just signed James Conner, bud. So where are you guys going here? We'll start with LQ.
Well, James Conner's going to miss games. So he's going to Chase is going to be, the guy probably about 3-4 weeks. But I'm more likely to see a 1A, 1B situation here. We're going to see James Conner get some touches that he shouldn't be getting. But Chase brings some PPR, value there as well. Because I really think James Conner is just going to be a red zone gun. I like to think about him as like a Todd Gurley right now. That's basically going to be his usage is the red zone. So we might see like 6 to 8 touchdowns from James Conner this year to where you're going to be happy with that production. But it's going to come a time where it's going to be a 1A, 1B situation than just a 1A because James Conner is going to miss games. So I really feel like you can get Chase to where you're getting him now in those later rounds. It's fine because honestly, you're going to have Kyler Murray, AJ Green, D Hop there. They're going to be able to move the ball. So somebody's going to get those touchdowns.
What do you think, Nick?
James Conner's definitely not going to last the entire season. Chase Edmonds, he's great when he comes in and, kind of like wants to prove himself. I think that he has a big chip on his shoulder and he wants to try and prove himself in the NFL as a number 1 running back. And I think that, James Conner is a serviceable running back, but he's not a full running back in terms of like lasting an entire season. So I'm going to say he just kind of got to wait it out and just let the chips fall where they go, and he can prove where he really belongs.
Oddly enough, of the backfields that I mentioned, this is the one that I want no part of. Like I'll take Tevin. Yeah, I'll take Tevin Coleman over these guys. I'll take Sermon. I'll take Rojo. I mean, obviously, I want those guys at value. I don't want to reach for them, but I don't think I'll be reaching for Edmonds or Connor at all. And the big reason is Kyler Murray. He had 8 rushing touchdowns last year. Or I'm sorry, it was 10 rushing touchdowns last year. 10 because he had 10 last year, which is James Conner's total from the last 2 seasons, and he had more rushing yards than Edmonds. It's like, I mean, obviously Kenyon Drake was there, but it's not that he is a design run quarterback. It's just that the way that vertical offense works is that he just takes too much pressure and he just extends the play. And those touchdowns, inside the 20-yard line, because I have to say inside the 20, because he has, I don't know how many like deep runs for touchdowns last year. It was stupid. I feel like he's pretty safe to hit 600, another 800 rushing yards this year.
Yeah.
Like, is that crazy? He had 500 his rookie season. He had over 800 last year. I feel like 600 to 800 is a pretty safe space for him, and he is just going to really be a nag on the rushing touchdown situation. I could see Edmonds being that PPR guy, but I could also see Connor, being back there too. This is also a team that just doesn't have a tight end. Well, they got Daniels and Williams. I don't even know Daniels' first name. Darrell Daniels and Max Williams. Like I see those receivers you mentioned. Absolutely. I see all of them. And I also see Rondell Moore kind of getting mixed into that, like Curtis Samuel, Debo Samuel, Ayuk, Shenault type of role, because I think at Purdue, he had like 20 carries for over 200 yards. He was taking carries for like a 10-yard average as a college athlete. Like, obviously, we don't know if that's going to transcend from the Big Ten to the NFL, but whatever. Yeah. Like, he's still that type of guy that has those abilities. And while I see some value for AJ Green, still not a guy I'm targeting, but I like Rondell more, pun intended, I guess. I feel like his usage is going to be there because he has that gadgety type of upside, and he's going to be what they really wanted Andy Isabella to be. Just because he has that little bit of extra speed, a little bit of extra athleticism. Yeah. So I'm just kind of buying into more Murray, an emergence of Moore. I don't want either of these guys. I felt like I wanted Edmonds last year, and he kind of let me down. Maybe it's just that recency bias. I'm not sure.
It might be recency bias because last year I was hands off as well in that backfield, like you said, because of Kyler. I think honestly now when it comes to Chase being the guy, I think he's going to at least get like 10. Maybe he pops off for 15 rushing attempts, and then probably like 7 targets a game. I'm okay with that based on where I'm getting them. But like you said, you made a good point with the red zone scoring opportunity. It could get annoying for Kyler to be taking basically every single one, and then Chase is still sitting there, and you're like, do something. Like, do something, man.
Do stuff. Yeah, it sucks, man. And I had a share of Chase deep last year. It wasn't like my starter, but even as a bench stash, I was just like, man, like
depressing.
You kind of, I was like, man, like you got nothing here. You're not exciting me whatsoever. So yeah, could just be recency bias. But and James Conner too. He's just a guy that burns people. Just like you're feeling good about him. We're rolling here. We're scoring fantasy points. We're getting wins, and then it's like week out of the playoffs, duds in the playoffs, duds. Just Russell gets hurt. Wilson. Oh God. Golly. Same thing. Same boat. Yep. All right. Well, that wraps up our backfield flag planting. Let's jump into we're going to list off our top 5 guys that are being undervalued right now leading into the summer. A couple days out of June here. So, we're going to start getting more best ball drafts, more dynasty drafts rolling here. I know, all of us, have been pretty hands-on so far with dynasty drafts and some best ball, but we're getting into the thick of it here. So let's jump into some undervalued players. But before we do, be sure to like and share the video and follow us on youtube.com/Tag It to the Hizzy. Let's go. Nick, we'll start with your number 5 guy. We'll just kind of go around here. Who do you got?
My number 5 guy, I'm going to say Blake Jarwin. Okay. I'm going to say because he did look very good before he was hurt. And then Dalton Schultz came on, and then Dalton did very well. Because Blake missed most of the season, and, it was that Schultz did really well outside of Dak. I feel like with everybody coming back, I feel like Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz will provide that 1-2 tight end punch that teams are looking for. And I feel that, in this draft that I'm seeing, it's a redraft, but it's round 18 when he was picked up. I'm going to say that, he's pretty undervalued considering he had very high production when he wasn't. He's just coming back from injury. So I would definitely take a shot on him and see how it goes for this year.
Yeah, I like the situation there. You're getting Dak back, obviously a big passing offense. So, I don't hate it. Free tight end. No one hates free tight ends.
Yeah.
And he's going to be your bench tight end, too. It's not like you need to draft him as your starter. So, absolutely love that one. Who you got, Laquan?
I got Irv Smith, man. I really think this is going to be the guy that's going to explode, and nobody's talking about him. Nobody's really even thinking about Irv Smith, and I'm able to get him past the 10th round, which I'm like, wow. So, I've been really hitting on tight ends for the last 3 years, and I think this one is going to be a big boom right now to where, like, I'm treating him as I treated Jonnu Smith last year. If COVID didn't happen, Jonnu would have been to the moon. But COVID happened, and then Tennessee decided to not target him in the red zone anymore. And then, there's that. But
Anthony
anyway,
Frickser.
Irv Smith is definitely a guy. A whole bunch of targets are open up there for him. I mean, he was literally, since he was drafted, he was hindering Kyle Rudolph. He was finding his way on the field. And it wasn't like anything to where, like, he was making big plays or big production, but he was just a more athletic tight end. And the Vikings saw that because if you look at it before Irv Smith was, drafted, we're seeing Kyle Rudolph as a top 10 tight end, top 5. I think he finished like tight end 4 or something like that, the year before they even drafted Irv Smith. So I definitely think Irv Smith can see those numbers if they make him a priority in that offense as well, because, Justin Jefferson's going to get a lot of attention this year. He's going to get so much attention. So therefore, that benefits Irv Smith, that benefits Dalvin Cook, and absolutely benefits, Adam Thielen as well. So that offense, I really feel comfortable with taking Irv Smith as, a late round tight end. I can wait just one tight end that I'll be drafting this year. So, hey, full send it.
Yeah, honestly, I'll take Irv Smith as my starter. So for where you can get him, you can really load up on other weapons. He's a guy that I absolutely trust this year. So I see your guys' 2 tight ends, and I'll raise you 2 more. I got I'm kind of surprised, Laquan. I got Tyler Higbee right here. Tyler Higbee should be to the moon this year, coming up with Matt Stafford, right?
No,
not a Tyler Higbee guy.
No, God,
dang.
No. I mean, I've been.
Well, let me know. I mean, we got Gerald Everett. He's gone. I mean, I feel more snap shares should be this
hype train, like single-handedly, just the sword by myself. The gift. Just put it up, because I've been killing this hype train for 2 years. Because we are not a tight end friendly offense. No way Sean McVay is going to take targets away from his wide receiver core. It doesn't even matter who's that third wide receiver. He will have 2 wide receivers have over 120 targets. And that's his philosophy. There's not enough targets for Tyler Higbee to be fantasy relevant. There's just not. But for the simple fact that third wide receiver is going to see 80 to 100 targets. Where is Tyler Higbee going to fit into that? It just doesn't happen. Also, with Jared Everett leaving, he didn't really leave because we drafted his replacement, Bryson Hopkins. So it's kind of like the same body type, the same play, the same type of style play. So Gerald Everett is just an idea. He's just that type of player. It's always been that type of player there as the second tight end. So it's kind of like, it's kind of same going into this next season about Tyler Higbee. So everybody's shooting his ADP up once again, to the moon, because last year it was recency bias. 5 games, 100 yards. Oh, my God. Well, Brandon Cooks was hurt. Todd Gurley was broken. And I believe Josh Reynolds was very underdeveloped. So, of course, he popped off. We were trying to make the playoffs. So, duh. So I don't know. I just figured the opportunity should be there. Rookie tight ends obviously don't get as much trust as the vets do. Their snap shares are typically lower. He's a second year. Bryson Hopkins is a second-year tight end.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yep. All right. Well, hey, maybe it's his sophomore emergence then. For where Tyler Higbee's going, I'm going to take him for free. He was the first one that I was going to mention, and he's definitely not going to be my starter. But I definitely like his upside with a new quarterback coming over. We saw Stafford's preference to the quarterback position last year. Maybe that's why Goff is gone. He was throwing to the tight end too much. You threw 3 touchdowns to Higbee this game. Get the hell out of here.
I don't know, man. That was a whole ordeal, man. It was more so of just not being able to open the entire playbook that Sean McVay wanted because Goff doesn't have that football IQ, which is okay, whatever. He's a serviceable quarterback. I'm not going to bash Jared Goff for what he's done for us, but McVay wants to do more. He wants to do bigger and better things, and he couldn't do that with Goff, because you kind of see Goff just kind of stalemate after the Super Bowl. So it's kind of like, all right, man, it is what it is. You got to go.
I gotcha. Well, the second hype train I'm running on tight end is Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet, I think, is going to have a big boost this year as a sophomore. You're getting him for free at the back end of drafts, not a guy that you need to target as your tight end starter, but I'm seeing a big increase for him. He started to kind of take off at the end of last year. He's going to have more snaps. He's going to out-snap Jimmy Graham 1,000% for sure. I hope Jimmy Graham gets traded to the damn Cardinals. We just got talking about them, about needing a tight end. I hope he somehow isn't on the roster week 1. I'm a Jimmy Graham guy, it's sad to say, but I think Cole Kmet's going to be in line for a big boost of work. He still has that really big bodied frame. He can block, he can catch, he can do it all. So I see him taking a big leap forward this year. I guess we'll just kind of start with me and come back around then. Wide receiver that I like really late is Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones had an excellent finish to last year. Almost had over 1,000 yards. I think it was just under. I think it was like around 900 or so. He's only had one other 1,000 yard season total. But I feel like people are overlooking him in Jacksonville. I feel like he's going to come in and he's just going to have a reliable dose and diet of targets. We've seen issues with Chenault's health, with Shark's health. We really don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be. It sounds like Trevor Lawrence is the guy, but we're getting talk now that he could be on like a snap count through camp. He's coming off like some injury that they're trying to just kind of nurture him through. I feel like he'll be the starter, but I feel like there will be growing pains, and I feel like Marvin Jones is a nice little safety blanket to lean on. I told you guys I was in an auction draft 21 rounds. Marvin Jones didn't go until the free agent draft after.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even auctioned. No one even spent $1 on him. He went for free. So I really like his value, what he can provide to that offense, the experience, just being a veteran in a very young group. So Marvin Jones, absolutely going to be free at the back end of your drafts.
Yeah, I'll piggyback that because that was my next guy. Because, man, for the last 3 years, I've been taking Marvin Jones. He's been outperforming his ADP year after year. And it's like he's one of those guys you could basically get for free, and he's going to produce wide receiver 2 numbers. So it's like it's a no-brainer there, taking Marvin Jones. I honestly look at him as the number 2 target there, after, Shenault, because Shenault is a playmaker, man. He's basically a bigger Deebo Samuel. So I definitely think, he plays big, he plays hard, but it's about the health as well that you have to just keep in mind, you know what I mean? But as the number 2 option there, I definitely like Marvin Jones. I think his whole entire career, he's been the number 2 option from Golden Tate to Kenny Galladay. It is what it is. So he knows his role and he plays it very well. So I definitely want to piggyback you off of that. Marvin Jones is very undervalued.
Absolutely. Who's your next guy, Nick?
My next guy is actually Sterling Shepard of the Giants. He was drafted very late in this redraft. I think it was around 16. Kadarius Toney was drafted in round 12 of that same draft.
What?
That's a big
hype.
Yeah, that's a big split. It's not that I don't think that Kadarius Toney is going to have a good season. I think he is going to have a good season, but the guys that were added to the wide receiver core do not take away in any kind of way of the role that Sterling Shepard had, which is move the chain kind of guy. Kenny Galladay is, a more of a deep threat. I would say Kadarius Toney is more of a slot guy. And I still think that they're going to be depending on Sterling Shepard to get those sharp routes that are at the sticks and getting those first downs to keep the drive going. So I think that, he might get a couple targets taken away, but I still see him getting his regular 6 to 7 targets a game. There's no reason why. The only thing that's holding him back is his health. But I think that with having other guys being on the team that can take away the heat, they won't have to depend on him so much and have him take consistent damage. And I think he'll last a little bit longer with those other guys in the wide receiver room. So my guy is Sterling Shepard.
I like that. I like that a lot, especially for the price that you're getting him at. I feel like that Kadarius Toney pick is just people like, oh, well, Sterling Shepard can get hurt. We've seen Kenny Galladay get hurt. We've never seen Kadarius Toney get hurt. Like he just showed up.
All of them.
He just showed up, and they're talking about using him everywhere. So get him on my team. Let's go.
I think that offense is going to be a little confusing for the first couple of weeks, though, because you have Saquon back. You got Evan Ingram still there. You have Kenny G there, Toney, Shepard. You still have Slayton as well, too, who's actually a baller. I like Slayton. I don't care what anybody says about it, but I really feel like this offense is going to be confusing the first couple of weeks. So it's definitely like, all right, I can take late round shots on this guy. I can get a Shepard in the 12th round. I can get a Toney in the later rounds. I'm not taking him at 12, but still, it's like that offense is going to be something to watch. Definitely. It's definitely going to be something to like try to analyze and break down who exactly is the guy who's going to be seeing this amount of targets, who's going to get the volume, this and that, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be interesting to see how that pops off.
I agree with that. It's going to be difficult because I think they're also going to limit Saquon to start.
Yes.
I don't think we see any of him in the preseason. If we do, it'll be very, very little. And 2, if he's to start the year, they're already saying like, yeah, we're gonna limit him coming in. Again, it's not a situation that just behooves the Giants to say, oh yeah, 30 touches a game, Saquon, he's back. Yeah,
I don't think they need to though. That's the thing. That's why I like their draft a lot, and I like Kenny G coming there. They don't need to lean on Saquon anymore. Saquon can be, a regular old PPR running back now to where the full workload isn't on him because I feel like people in drafts are still taking Saquon at the 102, 103 spot. That I don't agree with based on the additions that they added to that offense. So therefore they're not going to lean on him. So I really feel like I said before, it's going to be very confusing, man. It's going to be wild to watch like how this pans out for the first 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to divvy up all the touches between all that talent. So it's going to be interesting. Definitely a fun one to follow. We can go with your next one, Nick, and we'll just come back around.
My next one. Sorry, I wasn't even like looking ahead for that. My next one. Oh, Jacoby Meyer. I actually really like him. I think that with Mac Jones being drafted in the first round, they're looking to find a little bit more stability. And I think that there is, like a backup plan if Cam Newton doesn't work out. If Cam starts, being really scattered and, throwing the ball over the place and not really bringing consistency like, Tom Brady brought to the Patriots, I feel that Mac Jones can come in and really, bring the team back to center. And Jacoby Myers is going to benefit from that. I was very impressed on what he did in those few games last year. I don't exactly see the fall off being his issue. I feel like that being more of Cam Newton failing. So I'm kind of high on him. He was drafted in the 21st round of this redraft, and I would take a shot on him for sure.
Free money. Yeah, I like Jacoby Myers. I like N'Keal Harry too, just because I like the emergence of Mac Jones.
I'm out
on him. I'm out on him, yo. No, I'm
taking Nelson Aguilar 9 times.
Nelson
out of 10.
Aguilar, let's go.
I'm taking Aguilar 9 times out of 10 as a late round guy if I'm going to go. For the Patriots.
All right, I wonder who's going to go first of that 3. That's going to be interesting.
Probably Nelson Aguilar because he's the most known name. Yeah, there you go. So we'll see what happens.
I think the tight ends probably go ahead of all those guys.
No, I'm not touching either one of them.
Oh, really?
Wow. Nope. I'm not.
Thanks for me either.
That is a headache every single week. It's already a headache with the running backs. Hell no. I'm not going to add to that with the tight end. No.
I agree with that for sure. I agree. I'm staying away from those tight ends. If it was just one of them, I'd be in. But they had to do it.
100% in when it was just Jonnu Smith. And then you add Hunter Henry. I'm just like, why the hell did you do that? What are you thinking?
Bill being Bill.
Bill doesn't actually give a shit about your fantasy team, unfortunately.
Yes.
That's the worst thing about him.
Oh, my God.
1,000%.
Jeez, what are you doing?
My next guy up is Antonio Brown. He's just free. He's just going at the back end of your drafts. I don't think that he's a guy that you want to have in a starting or a flex spot or anything like that, but I firmly believe that Antonio Brown coming in a full year of workload, additional game included, he is one injury away from wide receiver 1 conversation. It's very similar, in my opinion, to last year with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. That's all I was saying all summer, just banging that Kareem Hunt drum. As soon as Chubb gets hurt, this dude's a top 10 running back, and sure as shit, there he was. I feel it's a very similar situation. We've got injury-prone receivers like Evans and Godwin, obviously, but so is everyone else there. Like, everyone just got hurt last year, and they were constantly coming in and out. But when I drafted Godwin in a dynasty league, and I was just like, man, like I like him as my number 1 receiver because I prioritize running backs ahead of him. But I want some assurance here, so I grabbed Antonio Brown just super, super late. He's not really going for any big value right now, and I feel like his value will climb the closer that we get to week 1. So if we're drafting right now in the middle of summer, he's a guy that I want to stash on my bench 1,000%. He just has that trust. We talked about it earlier about Rojo getting in the doghouse with Tom Brady, even Leonard Fournette at times, right? We saw even Mike Evans at points last year getting 3 targets a game, right? Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot of upside still for AB. I feel like all the off the field stuff, his image, just who he's been keeps him, well below the bar here. So I'm still taking a shot on him. I have no problem with it.
Nothing much to say about him.
I was about to say, I can't really follow behind that. You hit it nail on the head. It's the thing where it is true because a full year of conditioning for AB on a team that he's happy, where he's winning Super Bowl, I can't not say he is one injury away from being the wide receiver 1. He's going to see the volume. We know he can handle the volume. We've seen it in Pittsburgh where 12 targets a game, 16 targets a game. That is a crazy stat to where he can handle that workload. So it's we know Godwin's going to get hurt. We know Evans is going to have hamstring issues. It's holy hell, AB is about to be the number 1.
I don't see any fall off in talent either. Everything still seems like it's there. It's just that the system, spreads the ball around. There's a lot of mouths to feed, right? Godwin, Evans, those running backs that we mentioned. They're getting OJ Howard back this year.
Yeah, there was games that I watched AB wide open. And I'm like, Tom, why didn't you throw it to him? Oh, you took the deep shot.
Tom was having a problem there for a little bit. There was a stretch of 5 or 6 games where he wasn't hitting anything beyond the 20-yard line off the line of scrimmage, and that was creating some issues. And you didn't see AB getting mouthy. You didn't see him getting upset because he knew he's
I'm
like,
just a guy here. Yeah,
they're coming to me now. They're going to be coming to me here soon. He's not hitting those downfield targets. Who do you think's running underneath?
Yep, right there.
This guy,
wide open.
I think I saw him at like round 16 plus in the last draft I did.
Yeah. Well, he just got signed like 5 days ago, so that probably could be playing a factor.
I guess I should put that into the equation. I did draft him when he was still unsigned, so maybe that was it. I mean, I knew he was going somewhere. I mean,
yeah, of course, I knew he was going to resign though. It was like something with the foot. He had some foot injury or some shit like that. I forget.
Yeah, he's fine. He checked out. Arian said the deal didn't even go through until he passed his physical, so he's good to go. So
yeah.
Who's your next guy, LQ?
Oh man, I might get killed for this, but he's definitely undervalued going in that late to mid round of the third. Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is being shitted on. He's being shitted on, and we got to understand that he is not injury prone. People like to throw that word around and not really know what it is. Because he only burned people last season or whatever, but he was on pace for 1,000 yards. Those 6 games that he had, the volume is key there. You're getting a guy in the third round, late third round, that's going to see over 300 touches in the best situation he's ever been in his entire career. Give me for free. Thank you. Thank you for that. RB2 is going to see RB1 numbers week to week, being that he has Joe Burrow back. He has Chase there. Less stacked boxes. That offense is going to look so beautiful next season. Joe Mixon is definitely going to be the guy. And then there's the PPR upside on that too, because Gio's not there anymore. Gio's in Tampa. I don't know why he's there, but he's there. But you got to understand, he was out targeting Gio even when Gio was there. Those back-to-back seasons, he gave us top 10 performances. So there's that. So targets are open for him to be able to handle that workload out of the backfield. So there's going to be a lot of, moving the ball there, in Cincinnati. So give me Joe Mixon in the third round 100%.
I don't hate it. I can't hate it. And to me, it's the touches. It's the touches in an offense that is just really appealing on every level, right? Yeah. They've upgraded the offensive line. They've got a real quarterback. They've got real receivers. The highest touted receiver in this draft, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, who everybody was on last year. He was a darling. Everybody was about him as a rookie. Fancy Twitter, social media and he, in his own right, he came on like he did really well. All of us here at the Hizzy love Tyler Boyd. Yep. I know that all of us wanted them to see another tight end added, but I feel like you're 100% on that take. I mean, it really just was last year. I don't know if it was his rookie season. Did he have an injury?
He just didn't play. It was just weird. I didn't really look into it. I was just like,
but he was on pace for 20 touches a game last year, and that's what I was really in on coming into last season. Was like, hey, Zach Taylor, rookie quarterback, should be a lot of safety blanket action back there, But I felt like the catches were coming. He had 21 catches in 6 games last year. The year prior, he had 35 through a full workload of 15. So the catches were coming. It's just that injury. I feel like people are just playing recency bias, and they may just feel like, I don't want to risk it. He was hurt, could get hurt again type of thing. And I'll buy in on that. I'll go with that route for sure, just because I feel like this is a year where if you really want to, you can attack those high-end receivers in the first 2 rounds, because running back is just deeper than usual. Every year the wide receiver position is deep. It is absolutely deep this year. So you could still do the opposite strategy. If you really want to go heavy on stud running backs, you just need them not to get hurt. But if you want to really attack, like I've seen people go Stephon Diggs, Mike Thomas, Joe Mixon. I don't hate that. I think that's a nice little combination to start your draft. So I'm there. Do you have any agreement or counterpart there, Nick?
Nope. You guys pretty much went over everything.
All right. I got you. My next guy up is, I guess I'll just put these two in kind of in a tandem, is Emmanuel Sanders and John Brown. Just old guys for free at the wide receiver position at the end of your drafts that aren't in the worst situations. Manny Sanders is going to Buffalo to play with Josh Allen. That's great. Just go back and look at what John Brown's numbers were with Allen, obviously when he was healthy. Brown's coming to the Raiders, where I feel like they just need a reliable target I feel like they felt that they were going to get out of Bryan Edwards, and it just never happened. No. And I feel like he'll kind of take on that Nelson Aguilar role, where he's just the reliable, healthy dose of targets, and he's going to catch them. He's a very strong catch percentage guy. He's always solid for, 5 catches, 70 yards. Maybe you sprinkle in the touchdown. Maybe you don't. There are guys that are just getting absolutely shit on right now in ADP and their draft value. Again, both guys that I got for free in this like free agent slow draft here. I even got Sammy Watkins. I feel like he's a kind of another older name that you could kind of just throw in there. Any of those three that you guys are really in on or out on?
I'm out on Sanders 100%.
Okay.
Being that I'm a Gabriel Davis guy.
Okay, fair enough.
I feel like Sanders is on his third team in 3 years, not making a huge impact. Deep threat, quote and unquote, and he's 34 years old. So I feel like I will get some games where like, yo, Sanders is going off. Then it might be like a 7-week gap to where like Davis is the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I really feel like I'm out on Sanders just based on age, but I'm 100% on John Brown. John Brown's definitely going to be something I'm going to own, you know, when he's catching passes from their car. And I just overall feel like John Brown would be the better option if I was to have those two on the clock looking at. So I'm just out on Sanders just based on, you know, my Davis belief. I don't want to be like a biased guy, but I just don't see Sanders making waves, you know, week to week.
Well, I don't think they need him to be a deep threat. I mean, I think that's all written on Stephon Diggs' back is like, hey, I'm going that way.
So for them to say that, it was like weird. Why'd you sign Sanders? Oh, deep threat. Don't need that.
Cool.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Hey, if it works how they say, then I'm definitely going to be all in for sure. So I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But I like both of those guys for their value. They're just dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. I'm still surprised. I feel like Manny Sanders in redraft leagues, like I feel like some of that noise will fade a bit. I feel like he's a name that's gonna climb up boards as we get closer to week one. He's definitely a name I see going up there because people are just gonna be like, you know, forgetting you had the summer off, and they're like, Manny Sanders playing with Josh Allen. Oh, give me that for sure.
Yeah.
Anything to add in there, Nick?
Let me throw a name in there. The one name that I'm seeing that is underrated because here are the names that were taken in the round before him. Jalen Reagor, Amon St. Brown, Corey Davis, Michael Gallup, Jarvis Landry, Marquise Brown, and Terrence Marshall. The guy after that was drafted was Darnell Mooney. I am high as hell on Darnell Mooney.
Yes, give me Mooney.
Because that guy was burning people on his routes. Like they were some of the cleanest routes I saw all year.
And Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, exactly. Like he is a perfectionist at his routes, and I feel like Justin Fields will be able to hit him. And I feel like if the Chicago quarterbacks, whoever was in at that moment, was able to hit Darnell Mooney for like at least half the time, he would be like a way higher up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I have
we'd have another playoff win.
Exactly. Yeah. So Darnell Mooney, like, you know, to me, I was like kind of looking at that list. I was like, Amon St. Brown above Darnell Mooney. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, that was, you're going to Detroit for that. Like, I'm not excited about that. But Darnell Mooney, that is an undervalued pick in that instance. That was like round 10, round 11. I just called out.
100%.
Absolutely. And we're going to love him a lot more with Fields.
Yeah, I was praying for Allen Robinson to stay because that benefited Mooney a ton because I didn't want to see him as the wide receiver one. And I didn't want them to bring in another unnecessary wide receiver, like, you know, let's just say it was Sammy Watkins or something like that. Nah, I'm not good with that. So I'm happy, you know, Allen Robinson staying and Fields is there. So Mooney should be shooting up. He's a guy that I'm really excited about just based off of the game. Like it was the Bears game that the Rams game that I was just like, he just killed Jalen Ramsey twice in the same quarter. What is happening? He's that good. Holy shit!
Just needs a quarterback. Just needs someone that can throw to him.
The issue. He didn't have a quarterback. So
I still don't think that quarterback is Andy Dalton. So I'm not gonna jump on him anytime soon. But I do believe with Fields coming on, he'll be the starter after, you know, hopefully just a game, hopefully just halftime in that week one. We got Rams Bears week one. Hopefully Moody doesn't do too much with Andy because I need Andy out of there. You know, definitely someone I'm excited about. Just some names to close it out here. I got Rondell Moore and Christian Kirk that we already kind of talked about, and then that was it. Those were just my last two. Oh, Tevin Coleman and Jamison Crowder, just guys that you can get for free at the back end of drafts. You guys want to throw any others or sprinkle any others in?
I had Denzel Mims as another guy that is literally getting overlooked. I mean, honestly, the injury obviously was, you know, an issue, and then recency bias. They're like, oh, he's injury prone, et cetera, et cetera. But I liked what I saw on tape. I liked his highlight tapes. I liked everything I saw about him. He catches the ball at the highest point. He's jumping off of routes. Like he's one of those guys that are very talented. He just needed a system and he just needed a quarterback. So new system, new quarterback. We should see something out of Denzel Mims, definitely.
Yep. Free Jets tight ends. Don't forget our boy about Braxton Berrios. That's our guy around here. Any others to add there, Nick, before we move on?
Nope. I exhausted my undervalues.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we're going to move on to a little team preview here with Laquan's LA Rams. Before we do, be sure to smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on youtube.com/take to the Hizzy. Let's go. All right, so Rams, first up. We're a gambling network around here, Laquan. So we're looking at the LA Rams, Los Angeles, over under 10 wins. Over is paying minus 140. Under 10 wins is at plus 110. They won 10 games last year. Are you going over or under?
I'm going over 100%.
All right. That's what we like to hear. Paying minus 140, a nice little nest egg if you want to throw that down. Nice little something to take care of you at the end of the year. Something to share with your Rams brethren, maybe, or your fans, or something like that. Just throwing that out there. You're in New Jersey, right?
Yep.
Whip out the FanDuel, man. Let's go. It's right there for you. Throw $100 down, or whatever. Throw 140 down. You're making $100.
There you go.
It's not bad. You agree with that, Nick? I'm well in on over the 10 wins.
How disrespectful are they to Matthew Stafford? Like, is he really the same as Jared Goff? I highly doubt that. I fully believe that he can get at least 3 more wins out of this team, and if not, then there's. We were talking about it before the show. There's probably something wrong outside of the quarterback position in the organization. So if they don't get 13, especially with one extra game, they got to reevaluate from the inside out. So I'm definitely on the over.
I hear you. Well, it's a great segue with Stafford there, because next up I want to ask LQ, what's your expectations of your new nice shiny toy at quarterback? Oddly enough, betonline.ag, they have him as the 3rd highest odds for the MVP, most valuable player. Are your expectations just as high?
No.
Okay. Bring us down to earth a little here.
Everybody calm down. But
he's right behind Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. So Patrick Mahomes, for reference, is at 350. Josh Allen is at plus 900. And Matthew Stafford is tied with Tom Brady at plus 1400 at 3rd for MVP. Wow.
That is insane. I'm not in on that. But I think he'll get comeback player of the year. I mean, he'll have a nice bounce back. I definitely feel like my expectations are a little bit, to the point where like I can feel 13 wins. I can feel playoff. I can almost feel Super Bowl. Like, we lost some pieces on defense. That's the thing. But he still has a great defense. Like, the last time Matthew Stafford had like a top 5, a top 3, a number 1 defense, it's been almost like 8 years. So I really feel like, with Matthew Stafford having a great defense now and plenty of targets, and Troy, fuck you. So I feel like with Matthew Stafford
doing great.
With Matthew Stafford having a running game, which hasn't had in a very long time as well, with him having, Cup, Woods, et cetera, it's like, man, he has all this at the table to where he has to apply the pressure on the Seattle Seahawks. He has to apply the pressure on everybody in the NFC. So I definitely feel like, expectations are definitely 13 wins or more. Yeah,
I agree. My expectations are high. I definitely want QB1 numbers going to that better system. And we didn't even mention him. He's a guy that's going late in drafts. He's going as like the 12th, 13th quarterback off the board, which is crazy to me. He's like, top 5 is hard to say, with the type of talent there. We don't know if we're getting Aaron Rodgers. I think that would be kind of a telling factor if he could make it in there. But I could easily see it going, like, we'll just give it to Mahomes, Allen, Murray, throw Herbert in there, and then Stafford. Like, as far as I'm talking about stats, we saw Jared Goff throw 5,000 yards in this offense. We're getting Matthew Stafford now. It's a huge upgrade. So I'm very excited about it. Someone I'm definitely targeting at the end of my drafts. Do you have anything to add in about Stafford, Nick?
I don't think he's going to have MVP numbers. I do think his numbers will definitely increase, because think about the receivers he's got. He's got Kupp and he's got Woods. I mean, Woods is another guy that's like kind of like underrated, but they're drafted right next to each other. So he can't be exactly underrated. He's just kind of like in a blind spot. But I feel like he's going to kind of go off in terms of like his total career, but it still won't be like MVP level, but he is going to help the team. It's going to be a way different look for like vertical threats and being able to go through progressions instead of just Xboxing it. So I'm just I'm hopeful for Stafford, and I hope that he at least gets a couple playoff wins just to feel like he wasn't a failure in the NFL, because in no way did anybody consider what he did in Detroit a failure on his end. Like he played his ass off in Detroit, and they took away his top target, Calvin Johnson. Like Johnson retired, was like, dude, I'm done with this shit. Like I see what Barry Sanders was saying. Like I'm out, I'm done. Cut me, please. By the way, he just got his money back from Detroit. They're trying to repair relationships. So good for Detroit after like 10 years. Yeah, after 10 years or something, like unbelievable. Like what changed? COVID? I don't know. But
they want to make money.
Yeah,
they want him there on Monday Night Football. They want him there on Thursday Night Football. They want him, mixing up like Ray Lewis does with the Ravens. I went to a Ravens playoff game. Holy hell! Ray Lewis had that place lit. Like that place was ready to jump. Like people were ready to kill each other. Maybe it's the Lewis effect. I don't know, but that's what they want out of that relationship.
Yeah, they want to be able to sell his jersey, because when they're not having a good relationship, they're not able to sell jerseys. So it's kind of like a money grab, but it's kind of like too late, too little. But Matthew Stafford was a trooper through that entire freaking thing. I did not think that he ever took off a damn week unless he was hurt. I don't even think he was hurt, to be honest. But I'm just very impressed with Matt Stafford. I'm glad that he got out of Detroit. I'm glad he's able to see some other team. And he has a coach that is offensively minded. Like, Sean McVay is kind of like a wizard, so he's going to be in a very different spot. He's going to be like, man, this is what the NFL is like. Like, this is pretty sweet.
Man, you're going to see a whole new playbook. I really feel like golf is limiting McVay. Like, at their playoffs, we saw a wildcat with Cam Akers. Like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, and then we saw another trick play with Cam Akers and Van Jefferson. Like, you have to understand, like, he was very limited. Even having a short – term, John Wolford, mobile quarterback, you just saw it happening. You're like, this is what we can do with a mobile quarterback. Like, it's just crazy how much Sean McVay has in that playbook. He was limited. He couldn't open it completely. So now you're getting a veteran who has the football IQ. That's a trooper who has heart. There's too many times where I saw Jared Goff slide before the first down, knowing we needed that first down. And the thing is, we never asked Jared Goff to win the game for us. So for you to step up, quote unquote, because your job's on the line now, you still show no heart. Like you're showing your ass to the team, man. And it's like the little whispers in the locker room, from players and stuff like that, previous players, of he thinks he's a leader, but he's not the leader. You know what I mean? He's not the voice. He's not the vocal of that team. So it's very disappointing. So Matthew Stafford coming in just brings in a whole new breath of fresh air. You actually have a guy that can lead, that showed heart, taking bumps, dislocated shoulder, won the game. Like everybody remembers that out of Stafford. So, man, this is going to be amazing.
I think Matt Stafford is what they expected Jared Goff to become. And that's what they're doing. They are just like, screw this. I'm not waiting 15 more years for this to occur. We're going to do it right now. He's a little bit older, but I think Matt Stafford is exactly what they expected Jared Goff to be. So
exactly,
I'm excited for it.
I hate when people say Matthew Stafford's old. Like, bro, he's the same age as Russell.
It's a quarterback. It's like punter, dude. You can last forever. You can play.
He's also the same 45. Age. The same age as Russell Wilson. Play that narrative to him too. Then what are we talking about? What are we talking about right now?
That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and there's no reason to buy into it. He's 33 years old. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers, who won the MVP last year at 37. The sports books are talking about Matthew Stafford potentially winning it this year, apparently. And honestly, the MVP talk, I mean, if they go to the playoffs and they have those 13 or 14 wins, he's going to be in that conversation, because there's a reason why they weren't. They just got this quarterback, sexiest position ever. The media, especially in LA, they're going to attack the hell out of that. So he'll definitely be in that mix if the team has that level of success. But with that, let's kind of transition to the rest of the team here. I'm actually going to go with wide receivers ahead of the running back position. I'm just going to ask both of you right away here, just some quick hitters. Woods or Kupp? LQ, Woods or Kupp?
Woods.
I think
Nick, Woods or Kupp? Okay. Now I'm going to ask you over under. So over 1,000 receiving yards for Woods. LQ? Over. Nick?
Over.
Kupp? LQ?
Over.
Over for both.
Yes. Yeah. There was a time where we almost had 3 wide receivers have 1,000 yards if Brandon Cooks didn't get hurt. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I'm going with the over for both. They actually both last year just narrowly finished under 1,000 yards. So with the emergence of Stafford, I think like it's an easy progression, especially with the additional game. They should be hitting the overs on those. One more, Tyler Higbee over under 600.
Over.
Under
Over.
600 at 600.
He didn't hit it last year. He didn't hit it last year, but he hit it the year before. So
I'm going to say over. I'm going to say over because even LQ saying that McVay isn't a tight end coach. In Washington, he actually coached the tight ends, and Jordan Reed popped off. And I'm going to say that he might not design plays for tight ends, but Matthew Stafford will be able to go through his progressions to be able to hit the tight end. And that's honestly what you always want from your quarterback, to be able to go through 1, 2, 3, 4 progressions and find the open guy. Stafford's going to be able to do that. I see Higbee going over 600, maybe touching 800. Because because there's going to be so much opportunity. I mean, think about it. They're 80% of the passes completed by Jared Goff were within 2 seconds of the ball being snapped. That's not progression. That's Xbox. So I'm going to say that he's going to be over.
I'm going under because, man, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. It's just not. Because, one, we didn't add any pieces to that O-line. So Higbee has been our blocking, piece to protect.
Sure.
What us not adding any of the offensive line, it's obviously we need to protect Stafford at all costs. He's coming off of a major injury. So I don't think Higbee's going to be out there running routes. He's going to be blocking most of the time because we didn't add any pieces to the O-line. So that's the only reason why I'm going under. And again, we might see Van Jefferson pop off. Fingers crossed. I'm praying to God.
I'm gonna keep mine quick. I'm gonna go over with Higbee just because, again, better quarterback. He hit 520 last year on 15 games. If he gets into all 17 as the starter, as the snap share leader, I do think he'll hit over the 600. Just keep it brief, because I want to ask you, who's the next guy up as a receiver? We're both all in on Kupp and Woods. I think if I said who you're going to draft first, I feel like you guys would just say Woods over Kupp, right?
Yeah.
And then it's very easy to tell like when to grab Kupp. You see Woods go, you grab Kupp not long after. It's kind of similar to Seattle, right? With Metcalf and Lockett, you see Metcalf go, you need to be knowing that you need to grab Lockett soon here if you want him. So with these next receivers, we've got Tutu Atwell, we've got Deshaun Jackson, and we've got Van Jefferson. So where are you planting your flag, LQ? Who are you most excited about?
I'm most excited about Van Jefferson. I think Deshaun Jackson is the week 1 wonder, so he'll be hurt. He'll be on IR by the end of the first game.
And the first game, he's going to catch a touchdown for like 80 yards, and then he's done.
And then the end of that game, he'll be on IR on his way back. But, I'm excited about Van Jefferson. Tutu Atwell, he brings like a whole bunch of, appeal definitely in that offense, being how fast he is. But he's just going to jet sweep us to death. That's all it's going to be with him. And then him taking over the punt and kick return, role.
I saw that.
That's definitely where they're probably going to place him. So, honestly, I think my Van Jefferson shares are completely untouched. I definitely think he is the next guy. Yeah, because we know Deshaun Jackson is going to get hurt. Like that's just something that's just there. That's what he's good at. That's the best thing he's good at, honestly. But anyway, I definitely think Van Jefferson has the opportunity to step up. He can see 80 targets. How Josh Reynolds saw last season, even with splitting with Van Jefferson. So I think the targets are there for him. It's to the moon, man. Van Jefferson season.
Van Jefferson would be my guy as well. I can't touch Deshaun Jackson. It's a time bomb without even a timer. It's just like, oh, you picked him, you might as well be hurt now. Like
just
you're never going to use him.
Waivers week 1, put him in, he'll explode, and then get rid of him.
I don't even know if he can do that. Like I feel like anytime you go to pick up this guy, he's going to let you down, and that's just been his theme for like the past several years. Tutu Atwell, I grabbed a share in Dynasty. I'm excited about it, but my expectations are very, very low. But if there were to be an injury, I would hope, at least hope to think that he could get in there maybe in the back end of the year and maybe start working on some development.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot.
Who's your guy, Nick, behind Kupp and Woods?
I'm going to say Van Jefferson, and not because I think that he's a better athlete than Tutu Atwell or he's more skilled. It's because he knows the system. And with these college receivers, unless you're like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like those top end guys, most of these guys don't even understand the NFL route tree. So going into an offensive wonderkin of Sean McVay, there's going to be a lot to digest. And Van Jefferson, I saw him last year. I picked him up a couple of times just on, hopes that he would repeat what he did the week prior. And I saw hope, and I saw, possibilities of him being, not that guy to like take attention away, but that guy to fill in that blind spot that happens when you focus on the 2 wide receivers. Tutu Atwell, I would get a share of him in Dynasty, but this year I'm going to be patient with it. I'm not going to reach for it. I'm going to wait for him. If he's there, I'll definitely take a shot. I mean, I always take a shot on a rookie wide receiver. Last year, my shot was Justin Jefferson, and that paid off in spades. So, with Matthew Stafford coming to the Rams, anything's possible with a wide receiver. I mean, all these wide receivers are honestly an injury away from number 1 production because, sometimes we'll see, even if the quarterback gets hurt, the backup quarterback will come in and be throwing with the 3s and 4s all during practice. We call it the practice effect here. And you'll see how those guys already have that chemistry, and the number 1 and 2 guys are kind of off because their quarterback that they worked with all offseason is hurt. So don't be afraid to take a shot in the later rounds. Just kind of make sure that you have at least some edges of information to feel comfortable with it so you're not questioning your move the entire season.
Right. So last year, Van Jefferson only finished with 220 receiving yards, so it's kind of tough for me to give a over-under. I'll say a 750. Over-under 750. What do you guys got?
Oof, under.
Yeah, under.
That's
Okay.
high. That's a high.
I just wanted to see where you were feeling that 1,000-yard third receiver, LQ. I wanted to see how that.
Not
okay, all right. I got you.
Probably in year 3 or 4 if he's developing well under Sean McVay. So I definitely think it's possible. We are almost there. It's possible, but I definitely think it's a little too early to think he'll get over 750.
I can get behind that. I'm going to be taking the under on that as well. Again, it may just be too big of a number, and maybe 500 is more appropriate. I think that would be. I can see that. I think he could hit. Okay. I think 500 to 700. I feel like that's pretty doable for him this year. We're going to touch on some running backs here. We got Akers and Darrell Henderson. I was a big Akers guy last year, just banging that drum. Please let him start. Please let him start. Please give him the touches. Nursed him back to whatever health he needed, and then they let let him off the leash, right? So we've lost Malcolm Brown. Well, there's one less mouth to feed. Is it Cam Akers season? LQ. I'll just put it as that. Like, is he just off the leash, ready to run free, or do we need to worry about Darrell Henderson?
It's not much of a worry. If you invest on Akers, you definitely have to handcuff Henderson, and you might have to go a little higher than you want, but it's definitely necessary. It's not something where we can full send Cam Akers because we saw McVay use 3 running backs last season. So with one of them gone and not drafting, anything close to Malcolm Brown, in talent as a third running back, I think it's going to be a 1-2 punch. So with that being said, you still invest in where you're investing in the third round for Cam Akers. That early third round is where I've been seeing him go, which is crazy. But I definitely feel like you have to get Henderson. You have to. There's no other way to around it because he's a guy that I feel like will have more scoring opportunities than Henderson, but it's going to be more so those petty PPR, backfield passes he might see going to Henderson.
Okay. Any standalone value for Henderson, you think?
No, not at all.
What do you think, Nick? Where are you at here?
I'm Cam Akers. I was very excited with him going to the Rams. It didn't exactly pan out, but we saw at the end of the season it started coming together. LQ's completely right. You got to handcuff Darrell Henderson just in case, anything's pop. Like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes, we talk very highly of offensive weapons inside of Sean McVay's system, but also it has a very high probability of anything happening and that person losing whatever production we were expecting.
We saw both of them face injury early too, which is crazy. We saw, Cam Akers in week 2 take a hit. So it's kind of like, I'm glad I have Henderson. That's kind of one of those moments you want to have this season if investing that high on Akers. So you definitely have to get Henderson.
Yeah, it's just one of those backfields you got to play smart with.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to jump to Akers that early because I feel like he is being overvalued. I'm hoping by, as we get closer to week 1 and the start of the season that some of that hype actually just slows down a little bit because, I'm seeing him going that beginning of the second round, start of the third, and that's very rich for me. I would still probably take a guy like Joe Mixon, who you mentioned, over Cam Akers just because I feel like, he's already kind of coming off of that injury. Akers, they really took care of him. What was it, last year in a keeper league? I way overvalued him. I took him like in the second round and I was just like fearless about it. I took Kareem Hunt like right after that. I was just like, I know these guys are going to be good. They're going to be solid. And LQ, I dropped this dude like week 9, week 10, like right before he scored his first touchdown. Like I just needed somebody. It was like an IDP league too. I needed the spot. I couldn't hold it any longer. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I drafted him so high, you wouldn't have kept him anyways. It wouldn't have mattered. No. So it was just a big bummer for me. I'm hoping that obviously the opposite happens this year. He starts off, just is that guy. And hopefully we just don't even hear of Darrell Henderson. But for his price right now, is way, way too expensive. Does he rush for 1,000 yards this year, guys? Over under 1,000 rushing yards for Cam Akers?
I'm going under.
Okay.
Under. He'll be at that range, 800 to 900. With Henderson will possibly like 400.
Yeah,
that works.
I'm gonna believe. I'm gonna say he goes over. I just like him too much. He's a brutal, violent runner. Maybe I'm too close to him. I don't know. Maybe
too.
I love him. I just need to play that like you said, play that backfield smart because you can't put all your chips in and not have that handcuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like I'll be watching the games. I'll be wanting to see it, but I won't be getting into that space like round 2, round 3 in fantasy. Probably attacking the high end receivers that are going to be available in that space. So, all right. Just lastly, what do you think about the defense and the offensive line? They didn't draft any offensive linemen this year, which was a big surprise to me. But is there anything else that we didn't see in the draft, maybe from free agency that we may have missed? I know they drafted some defense. So what are you looking at here? I mean, obviously we got the big hitters in Donald and Ramsey.
Yeah. So with the defense, we lost some pieces, some guys that we just couldn't fit into the cap. But I really feel like we did well in the draft getting those linebackers. They play fast, they play hard, but we don't have to worry too much about them, learning the playbook because it's kind of complex and it's simple. So I really feel like we addressed the linebacker situation. Now with the O-line, at first I was questioning of like, why didn't we, take a piece? But then honestly, all we really needed was a center. So we have Brian Allen there. We have Blythe there, Austin Blythe taking snaps at center. You really want to have a guy who's been in the system at that position because they communicate with the quarterback. And I really feel like that's an important, definitely an important situation where you want to have a guy that's kind of seasoned, that played there before, or who's been able to move around the O-line. So the Rams are actually comfortable with the guys that they have there.
So sorry, you said Austin Blythe, and I was like, I don't think he's there anymore because I wanted him to come to the Bears.
He's signed with
the Chiefs. He signed with the Chiefs. Yeah.
Brian Allen, I mean, then.
Yeah. Oh no. He's listed as a starter. But when you said Blythe, I was like, because I remember somebody asked me like, what offensive line do you even want in free agency? Yeah. And I was like, I want Austin Blythe. Like that's who, as a Bears fan, that's who I wanted as a free agent, like O-line guy. I can't remember who it was. It was like some other fantasy group. They were just talking like free agent O-lineman. I was like, well, that guy because he's awesome. But I mean, I feel like the biggest issue there for me is Whitworth. I feel like that dude is like just one hit away from crumbling.
No, man, no? He's a stud, man. You seen him come back from that injury. He was able to come back in the season and play for us in the playoffs. He's still a stud, man. I really feel like he's one of those guys that just don't age. he just doesn't age.
Does. He looks like a coach. I swear to God.
Listen, he's out there still doing it, though.
I know. I saw him on Hard Knocks. I was like, is that an offensive line coach or is that Whitworth? Which? Like he's got the body for both.
Conditioning coach to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like what the hell? Like
I don't know, man. He's a stud, man. I really feel like we have Joseph Noteboom there learning under Whit, so hopefully he'll be able to step up at one point in that position. But hey, man, as long as Whit wants to play, he's going to be on the field.
I can't hate on that. If the Bears had such a journeyman, like Kyle Long, going to another team,
I just wish we had Whit probably 10 years ago because it's just like, man, wasted his time in Cincinnati, but it is what it is, right?
So LQ, I have a big question for you now. I saw a stat that you might have seen yourself, but if Guy Fieri was in the NFL, he'd be the 15th highest paid player in the NFL. Now, he makes $26.7 million per year. Aaron Donald only makes 22.5. So my question is to you, is Aaron Donald undervalued?
I mean, I would pay that man everything in my life to stay with the Rams. To be honest, he is definitely undervalued. He deserves to make $30 million a year, but he can't. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He has to be a team player. Yeah, he has to be a team player. He obviously knows that we're going for the ship. So I wasn't really too worried about when
Mm-hmm.
reconstructing the contract comments were coming out, et cetera, because I knew he was going to be able to like, all right, cool, let's do it because he's going to get his money either way. But definitely undervalued. He deserves way more money because he is literally the Rams. Like, he is the team. That's it.
I really like him. I like how he's like very solid. You see like his workout videos, like he's not just like fat and just plugging up a hole. Like that guy is an animal. He's an animal. Like I would love to see him and Derrick Henry actually hit head to head and just see what happens. Like it might create like a black hole or something.
Explode.
Exactly. It's like dividing by zero.
We thought last year he was gonna like murder Alex Smith. He jumped on his back. He jumped on the leg.
God.
I set that leg
out. Man, what's that dude's name? Nate Mullins? Nate Mullins for San Francisco? Nick Mullins? Oh, my God. He destroyed him that entire game. Like, it was just like, you're going to rip his head off, man. Just take it a little easy, man. Like, chill out. Because he was just getting there, man. And it's so crazy to watch him play.
He's an absolute freak.
For sure. I like him.
You know who else is a freak athlete on that defense is Taylor Rapp. Doesn't that dude like run like 30 miles like a month or not a month, but like in a day or two or something?
On the ground. He has endurance. I just need him to stay healthy though. That's what's getting on my nerves. He can't stay healthy. But I like Jordan Fuller. He's one of those guys in the back there that I'm like getting really excited about.
All right, right on. I'm a big Leonard Floyd guy, ex Bear. So he's a nice piece there. He's a nice piece there. So you're expecting, top 5 defense again?
Again, of course.
Okay.
And I think, with the missing pieces, they brung in something that can actually fill those holes that we needed. So I definitely expecting at least a top 5 defense again.
All right, right on. Under the top 5 for best defense. I like it. All right, cool. Well, that was today's show. Do you have anything to plug on our way out here, LQ?
Oh, yeah, man. You guys can follow me at Real Deal Fantasy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, MySpace. I'm everywhere, man. I'm trying to be
MySpace is still there.
Say MySpace. You hanging out with Tom?
I'm kidding.
What the hell?
We got to get a page, Justin. What's up with that? We're not on MySpace.
I don't know. I
better be on your top 8. I better be on your top 8.
I don't know. I got my Zanga blog still, but I don't know about MySpace. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, appreciate having you, sir. You are more than welcome anytime in the Hizzy. Talk some gambling, talk some sit starts. We got a long way to go here before week 1, so hopefully we have you back soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Yep. Appreciate you as well. Take care. Everybody else, be good. If you can't be good at it. We'll see you tomorrow. Later.
See you guys.